When Nickelodeon acquired the rights to Winx Club back in the long-forgotten year of 2010, the show at that point had been through 4 seasons and 2 feature films, seeing the titular characters graduating from Althea College and becoming young adults. And with the co-produced season 5 on the horizon, Nickelodeon had to burn through all of that content very quickly. And so the plan was simple. Get through the first 4 seasons and the first movie in 1 year, beginning in June of 2011, all leading up to the world premiere of season 5 in August of the following year. What about the second movie? Well, we'll butcher her later, but she's not important right now, or ever. To accomplish this, Nickelodeon, with their own voice casts comprising established actors and celebrity picks, the latter for obvious marketing tactics, would dub seasons 3 and 4 and the first movie, and dole them out as quickly as possible. What about seasons 1 and 2? Well, we're not dubbing them. We're butchering them. Rainbow produced 4 one-hour specials recapping the stories of the first 2 seasons, with the first 3 focusing on season 1, and the 4th trying to cram all of season 2 into 45 minutes. The audacity of the season 2 slander is staggering. So all of this was to give new viewers the bare essentials, hoping the sparkles and saturation would hook them into following along. I've talked about my issues with how Nickelodeon rushed out everything pre-season 5 before, but the marketing behind the first 4 specials was actually impressive. They went hard on advertising to get you to watch, and having watched the 4Kids era end unceremoniously with season 3, I remember being so excited to see Winx Club back on TV. At the time, little me was going through it, so I was kinda just clutching onto these specials for dear life. But now looking back on them, I have to say, these specials do not hold up. The idea of watching just these 4 specials and not the original seasons that they were based on? Absolutely not. They're basically just a SparkNotes recap of the plots without actually capturing the magic of why people fell in love with the show, especially in regards to the character writing. So today, we're going to talk about my problems with these 1-hour specials and how they were low-key red flags for what a mess the Nick era was about to be. Before we begin, ciao! My name is Thomas, aka the Unicorn of War, and I make videos about whatever the hell I like. Usually I dig into media that I enjoy, dissect what elements work for me versus ones that I don't care for, and talk about how it resonates with me. If that sounds enjoyable to you, then be sure to subscribe and ring that bell for notifications because YouTube hates creators. And if you'd like bonus content like early access scripts and videos, Patreon exclusive content, and access to the private Union of War Discord server, then you can pledge your support over on Patreon. Now without further ado, let the chaos commence. When creating condensed versions of an existing story, care has to be taken to ensure that you not only honor that existing plot and convey it well, but you also don't lose the spirit of what people enjoy about the original. The je ne sais quoi. It's akin to other forms of adaptation where you can't just do a one-to-one translation and expect your work to function in another medium. While the mediums aren't all that different here, having to condense an entire season of 26 episodes, totaling about 9.5 hours of content, into just 3 hours, or more likely a little over 2 hours if you remove all the time for commercials, is daunting. It's definitely doable as long as you focus on what elements are the most important, finding new creative ways to show them that can appeal to both new and existing viewers. These specials though, no, they're just haphazard copies. They take the original scripts and even the original shots and just lazily reproduce them with flashier, literal Flash-style animation, which we'll touch on later. It feels less thoughtful and more just trying to sand down all the quote-unquote filler to get to the bare-bones plot. And when your work is haphazard, you're bound to lose a lot of what people actually liked about the original. Because of how much ground there is to cover, all 4 specials move at lightning speed, barely giving you any time to situate yourself and become familiar with the cast. There's nothing wrong with the fast pace, but it's comically fast here. You barely get any time to get to know Bloom and Stella, and all the other characters just quickly whisk by, even the other Winx. So season 1 is split into the first 3 specials: Bloom's Destiny, Revenge of the Tricks, and The Battle for Magix. Each is split into 4 acts since this was the era we still watched TV. So it's cut in a way to naturally allow for commercial breaks. Act 1 covers episode 1, where Bloom meets Stella and has an encounter with the monsters chasing her. Act 2 is episode 2, where Bloom and Stella arrive at Althea, and we meet Flora, Musa, and Tecna, and also the Tricks.
I see you found our newest student, Bloom. She'll be part of our new freshman class.
She's not on my list, Headmistress Faragonda.
But she's on my list, Griselda.
Side note, wild that Musa never got to introduce herself in the original in any version, but she does here.
I think I have a roommate. Is it one of you?
It's me. I'm Musa.
It's like the one thing these specials did right, besides the music. Wait, is that a pun? Because it's Musa. Whatever. Act 3 is episode 7? Okay, so we're just cutting a bunch of episodes already. All right. And then Act 4 concludes the special with episode 10. Details and plot points in these episodes are altered, like having Bloom's first transformation be in the magical reality chamber. By having her transform at the end of the first special, it helps to make it feel like a milestone in her arc of learning to become a fairy. It's not very compelling, but it's at least a competent change. And then there's Revenge of the Tricks, which covers the middle of the first season. Act 1 adapts scenes from a bunch of different episodes. Bloom's dreams of Daphne from episode 9, as well as Riven being hypnotized into working for Darcy, and Bloom visiting home and learning that she's adopted in episode 13. Act 2 covers Faragonda foreshadowing her knowledge of Bloom's past from episode 15, and then all the shenanigans in episode 14 of the Tricks trying to deceive Bloom into thinking she's a witch so that they can steal her magic. Act 3 focuses on episode 17, with Bloom discovering her love interest Sky has been secretly engaged, and then getting away with assault of a royal in front of a crowd. And Act 4 concludes with the Tricks attacking Bloom when she leaves Althea, revealing her origins and stealing the dragon flame.
The Tricks took the dragon flame.
So on paper, this functions well enough. The first special focuses on Bloom being introduced to the magic dimension, and the second focuses on her unraveling as she searches for answers about who she is, ending with her dark night of the soul and all that. The third special, The Battle for Magics, then focuses on the remaining episodes of the first season. However, we don't have the Winx go to Bloom's homeworld of Domino to search for answers. That's cut entirely, and instead it just covers Bloom's failed mission at Cloud Tower, and then her recovering the dragon flame to kick the Tricks' asses. And again, yeah, it functions well enough, but it's all just focused on plot and not much else. Bloom has lost a lot, if not all, of her original characterization and charm, which we'll cover in the next section, but the other girls, forget it. They might as well just be lamps with how little they matter in all this. And another change I don't get, the Sky and Brandon stuff. So in the original season, these two switched identities and names. They explained the in-universe justification for it in season 2, but in season 1, it was mostly just to give Bloom extra trust issues. And also because romantic drama. So Bloom thinks that she's in love with Brandon, the cute down-to-earth squire of Prince Sky, but it turns out he is Prince Sky.
The woman was too stunned to speak.
But in the special, that's gone, along with the actual cute conversations and chemistry that make Bloom and Sky endearing in the first 3 seasons. Yes, it's messy, but it's also cute, and not unbearable like it is from season 4 onward. Though Sky is still cheating trash, that's just facts. And in this adaptation, we've lost so many great moments and episodes. The beginning of the year dance where the girls go dress shopping, their iconic dresses, good God, I love them. Their class trip into the Black Mud Swamp, Stella's date with Disaster, the Winx sneaking into Cloud Tower to get back Stella's ring. Actually, the whole ring thing got cut, which, okay then. I mean, it's not the worst thing ever, but it's odd. The Rose Festival where Riven turned on the others, and where we learned more about Musa and Stella. We also lose the iconically violent Downtown Magics brawl, Flora making potions with the help of the water nymphs, the Miss Magics episode, actually thank God we cut that. Also cut was the cute plot of the girls resisting the urge to cheat on an exam, resulting in an iconic jazz sequence of sneaking around a kitchen, and arguably the most memorable episode of the season, the Nightmare Monster. Yes, it is necessary to cut a lot of this out, but it's important to remember that audiences tend to gravitate more towards character moments than they do plots. That's true with Winx especially. Yes, the plot is solid, especially in those first 3 seasons, but what made audiences love it, in addition to the unique art style, iconic fashion designs, and memorable transformations, was the characters. By removing all these storylines and even scrubbing the episodes that they kept to their bare essentials, the characters are hollow imitations of their original selves. And then, Season 2. Oh, poor Season 2. You never get any love. So, Season 2 is a deeply, criminally underrated season of Winx Club, which I covered in an old video you should totally watch. But basically, Season 2 is extremely character-driven. It focuses on fleshing out the existing cast of characters, as well as introducing new characters like Aisha, Lord Darkar, the Pixies, and more. The plot is honestly the least important part of Season 2. What makes Season 2 great and incredibly necessary to making Winx Club a memorable show is its character writing, and its dedication to cute, low-key moments between them. The bastardization of Season 2 is just so egregious. So egregious, in fact, that it's getting its own section. But just so you know, the Shadow Phoenix, the 4th special, is by far the worst one on all fronts. It fails at representing the strengths of the season that it's adapting, it fails at telling an enjoyable standalone story, and it fails at introducing My Queen Aisha. Disgusting. OG Bloom has a lot more going for her than she gets credit for. She's a fairy tale obsessed dork with her head in the clouds.
Fairies, myth, or reality. Ugh, don't you ever get tired of these silly things?
They're not silly, okay?
Who's fiery and impulsive, especially in the 4Kids dub, thanks to Lisa Jacqueline's performance.
You're totally conceited, totally cocky, totally boring waste of good oxygen. I'm sorry, but guys like you give guys a bad name, Riven.
Now, I don't want to dunk on the Nick cast, especially because it is a pretty strong dub overall, but the script and direction are not doing anyone here any favors. Molly Quinn's performance of Bloom is fine, at times even cute.
Dad, I don't want to spend my summer vacation working in the shop. I wish I could go somewhere fun with my friends.
But it just doesn't have any of the personality of Lisa's performance, which sadly is the case for most of Bloom's English voices. A lot of OG Bloom's traits just aren't present now, thanks to the less expressive animation, the direction on Molly's performance, and the hollowed, copy-pasted scripts. She feels more like the yassified, picture-perfect Bloom that we've all come to hate from Season 4 onward. Stella is just kind of there. In the original, she's a very blunt, over-the-top, but well-meaning diva. She has a tendency to put her foot in her mouth, but she does love her friends fiercely, even if they annoy her. But those qualities are all gone now. The specials just make her blandly fashion-focused, with no messiness to make her more endearing. Not to mention that her parents' divorce is not touched upon at all. It was revealed in Season 1, and a big part of why it was so hard for her to open up to people, especially Aisha, in Season 2. But the specials just skip over it entirely. Flora, Musa, and Tecna might as well all just be one character with how little they matter. They've been reduced to their most basic stereotypes. Flora is a soft, nature-loving hippie, Musa is a music lover, and Tecna is obsessed with rationality.
Walking backwards is irrational. I'm Tecna.
They didn't have much going on in terms of arcs in Season 1, but they at least had cute, fun moments with each other that have been completely removed. They didn't even include Musa's messy crush on Riven, like, girl, it's a mess, but give us something. And because Season 2 got butchered, Musa and Tecna's arcs have been completely cut. No mention of Musa's mother's death and how it's put a strain on her relationship with her father, and no Tecna learning how to understand and express her emotions with Timmy. Flora's crush on Helia remains, but is far less compelling and interesting this time around, feeling more obligatory than actually adorable. Aisha? Oh my god, why'd you even bother including her at this point? Because she has nothing. In Season 2, she quickly became the best-written Winx, taking charge initially with the Pixie rescue mission and taking on Lord Darkar, and then struggling to adjust to being part of the Winx Club, since she's been alone all her life and has a fear of getting close to people only for them to leave. That's naturally completely gone. and she is now just the generic new girl with nothing interesting going on. At that point, why did you even have her be a new girl? Just introduce her in the first special so she has retroactively been here the whole time. She'd still have nothing to do just like the others, but at least she'd have actual screen time. From what I recall, part of why Rainbow wanted to produce these specials was to update the animation, so that it was considered now on par with the quality of seasons 3 and 4, particularly 4. To which I say, girl, your older seasons looked infinitely better than season 4 or this. Like, I'm gonna need everyone to stop assuming older media will just look worse automatically, and also to stop acting like season 1 came out in the Stone Age. It came out in 2004, you heathens, get a grip. Really, better animation just means more sparkly, and more likely to make your eyes bleed. The goal with something like season 4 is to use bright colors and massive amounts of particle effects to draw toddlers' eyes, rather than create something beautiful and artistically strong. Sure, seasons 1 and 2 may look a bit rough, but they still hold up very well, and arguably way more than season 4 in every season past it. And I would argue that they hold a lot more personality and charm too. Characters are just so much more expressive in seasons 1 and 2 than they are in the specials. And oh dear God, I hate CGI Gardenia. Hate. Winx Club has always used CGI for backgrounds like Althea Castle or Cloud Tower College, but a lot of environments were also hand-drawn in this very abstract, non-realistic style. Just compare OG Gardenia to Gardenia from the specials, which was just recycled from season 4. OG Gardenia has a very warm, consistent, earthy color palette and feels homey. This new Gardenia is a CGI abomination with far too many fucking colors. And the specials, like season 4's first few episodes, oscillate between hand-drawn and puppet animation. For those who don't know, puppet animation entails creating 2D puppets and then rigging them for animation like you would a 3D model, so you don't have to draw them over and over. Puppet animation can look great, like in Tangled the Animated Series. However, it can also look terrible. Guess which one it does here? The first and third specials use puppet animation, and it just looks so cheap and soulless. The characters move like rag dolls, and there's just no soul to any of these animations. And even the hand-drawn second and fourth specials don't look that good. They just feel like yassified tracings of their originals with way less charm. And the effects are just too fucking much. Too many sparkles, too many particle effects, and they all just clutter up the frames. The newer animation, especially the fight scenes, lack the punch and timing of the original. And oh my god, they massacred the season 1 final battle.
You're not taking anything! The dragon fire's mine!
That the best you got, Witchy Poo?
One of the best final battles in all of animation, and you have reduced it to a shadow of its former self. Please, take your particle effects and leave. Oh, I might also get crucified for this, but I don't like the new transformation sequences. I said it, I will be expecting death threats. And I dislike them for similar reasons I do the animation as a whole. It's just too focused on being flashy and spectacular, especially with how the girls flail about in the shots where they use puppet animation. Even worse with Bloom's, where she just keeps going between puppet and hand-drawn, and it's so obvious. Aisha's is a hate crime. Someone made this in like an hour, and they were not paid well to do it at all. Techna's is kinda cool with her martial arts, but it's not enough to save it. And Musa's is just flat out fucking lazy. She's literally just floating around music notes. Like, how dare you? Give her back her giant walkable CD. The only one I like is Flora's, specifically because of the effort that went into her breathing out flowers and then using those to make her wings and finally emerging from a flower fully transformed. At least Flora got something other than punched. Oh, and this is very petty, but I find it very funny that they wanted to quote-unquote update the older animation, and yet they couldn't be bothered to change the aspect ratio of the specials, so it's still trapped in 4:3. Amazing. I will say, the best part of these specials is unequivocally the soundtrack. The score is recycled from season 4, which I don't mind. It's nothing special, but it works well enough, and I do actually like the guitars that they use for Gardenia. The intro is a repurposed version of the season 4 theme song, Winx Are Back. Here, it is meant to be a more generic bop intro to the Winx Club, and it's fine. I was obsessed with this version as a kid though, and I still really love Symphonique's vocals. But overall, it's not really that impressive, especially compared to the original intro Under the Sign of Winx, or the iconic 4Kids intro. But then we get some great bangers from Elisa Rosselli and Maurizio Daniello. Admittedly, I need to do a better job acknowledging the talent behind these numbers, as while we all know Elisa because of her angelic vocals, Maurizio is a crucial part of their songwriting team. They were the geniuses behind Winx in concert, and when they create a song, they have a full vision for what story they want to tell. It isn't just generic, we are the Winx, oh think positive, like it is, in the later seasons. First up, I'm Home. It is such a cute, wholesome song that perfectly captures what it is like returning to a place where you feel safe. A place where you can just be yourself and rest knowing that you're accepted by people who know and love you. I especially love the softer vocals in the verses, accompanied by that gorgeous piano. Talking about love is criminally underrated.
It's the light in the dark. It's a smiling face.
Surprisingly, it isn't about romantic love, but just love in general. How it's present in all things, usually in the things that we take for granted.
It's a teardrop and it's the rain.
A smile, a sunrise, the rain, all that cheesy stuff. And my formaggio-loving self can't help but enjoy it. Formaggio is Italian for cheese. The vocals here are especially divine.
I guess we're part of a great cosmic dance.
I adore Elisa's range and both her airy higher register and her raspier tones. All Is Magic is another favorite of mine.
All is magic and every dream's a star-rich forest.
Personally, I love the cheesiness of addressing the listener like they're in Bloom's place, that they're a fairy, that they have magic, and that they're about to be whisked away into another dimension.
You're one of us, I can tell from your eyes, so take this chance, you're a fairy in disguise.
Plus, Elisa belting in the chorus' slaps. We Are Magic Winx is, I guess, technically a song about the girls being, in fact, the Winx, but I love that the song embraces the cheesiness in the lyrics, recounting the girls' adventures, and I adore that production.
And the darkness got no chance if they are around. If they are around.
I'm just a sucker for how it starts like a song muffled through radio speakers before becoming clearer. Yes, it hits. It hits. The other songs are, well, not even fine. They're actually really good. They're just not great. The Power of Charmix is a certified bop, and I love Kate Kelly's performance. Same for Goodbye, My Friends.
We don't know where life will take us. The road is dark, but I won't be alone.
Even if its lyrics are aggressively on the nose.
I'll find my way through this big world.
I'm Still Bitter, Heart of Fire, never got a full proper release. Yes, I will complain about it until the day I die. Once more, what makes Season 2 great is how it committed to its characterization. Bloom gets fleshed out, allowed to be a bit more bad-tempered, exhausted, and messy, but it's not just about her. Stella has to break down her walls, Flora has to overcome her shyness and confess her feelings to Helia, Musa stands up to her father to follow her dreams, Tecna has to actually express her emotions and be vulnerable with Timmy, and Aisha has to overcome her fears to fully embrace being part of the Winx Club. While the plot is Season 2's weakest aspect, and I would argue the plot is still really good, the plot being the weakest part is actually kind of what makes Season 2 work. By having Lord Darkar as a distant threat and a plot revolving around retrieving parts of the Codex, it leaves all of the focus on character interactions. Have you ever noticed that in the episodes where the girls lose Codex pieces at Red Fountain, Cloud Tower, and Althea, it's always in episodes where the girls are dealing with major interpersonal conflicts with each other, or with other characters, or in Bloom's case, with themselves. Without season 2, the characters and world would not feel nearly fleshed out enough to merit any more seasons past it. So by focusing on just plot, the special eliminates what makes season 2 work. The pacing is at its absolute worst here. Act 1 shows us the Winx back at Althea, and then Aisha failing to save the Pixies, Aisha immediately showing up at Althea, like what the fuck, her meeting the Winx, Tecna's still absent because fuck her, I guess. Darkar breaking out the tricks, and the Winx entering Shadowhunt to save the Pixies and meet Avalon. All of that is just the first 14 fucking minutes. They crammed 6 episodes into 14 minutes, and dear God, it's terrible. After that, the special just kinda meanders, haphazardly sewing different scenes from across the original season together, focusing mostly on Avalon's, fixation on Bloom. That's really the only subplot that they've kept here alongside Bloom's relationship issues with Sky, albeit heavily watered down. Then it tries to wrap everything up with Icy stealing the one and only Codex piece from Pixie Village. You know, the Codex piece that mattered the least out of the 4 of them because it had the least character stuff going on. And we couldn't even get Icy brawling with Princess Amentia out of it, or Livy being, you know, Livy, because like the special doesn't care about those things, and also Princess Amentia doesn't exist anymore, and now I'm bitter because they removed one of the best Stella and Brandon subplots that there is. I might commit a felony. And then everyone rushes to save Bloom after she has been corrupted by Darkar. They removed the real Avalon being imprisoned, so this has just been Darkar the entire time, which I don't like it, but I'm gonna be real, that changes the least of this special's problems. It's just all about Bloom now, and any likability that she once had from the original, from her actually acknowledged flaws, is now gone. What was even the point of having this special if you were just gonna remove everything that people love about season 2? And also, the fact that Nick fans never got to experience Hollow Winx, that's the real tragedy. And my God, Aisha got robbed. I will say it many, many more times, because they did her so dirty. She's only really relevant in that first act, and afterwards she just falls into the background. No story about her first friendship while she was locked away in the palace. No arc about her overcoming her loneliness, or her fear of abandonment, or even her fear of the dark. She's just here. Okay, so why do all this? We've already established that the animation was better in those first original 2 seasons, so why didn't Nick just dub those and rush them out? They got season 3 out in like 2 months, so why couldn't they just do the same with seasons 1 and 2? Honestly, I'm not really sure. It might just be part of how disconnected Rainbow is from what their audience actually likes about the show, but because seasons 1 and 2 were cut, and we lost all the aforementioned subplots, it's part of why all the girls' arcs get rehashed in season 5. Well, that and bad, lazy writing. Tecna's dealing with her emotions in a watered-down way, Stella's parents' divorce drama is also watered down, and Musa mentioning her dead mom. Okay, actually, Musa's is pretty tolerable. It's not nearly as compelling as it was before, but you know, it's still something, I guess. But it's part of this running issue where the Nick era basically wanted season 5 to be a new beginning, their own season 1, with the Winx eternally locked away at Althea. So naturally, we had to get rid of all the development that they had pre-season 5. These specials fail because they don't really understand what made the original seasons they're adapting work, and they suck out all of the magic. And I'd argue that lack of care was probably the goal. The plot is a worse abridged version, and the characters are just practically cardboard cutouts with how flat that they've become. They are insults to the media that they're adapting, and for any new Winx fan, this is such a lousy introduction to the franchise. You want to be introduced to Winx? Just go watch season 1, whether the 4Kids dub or the Cinelume dub. Either one is better than this. Anyhow, if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this from me, then be sure to subscribe and ring that bell for notifications because YouTube hates creators. I'm the Unicorn of War, and dear God, that 4 special was a total shit show.